Well, as our familiar theme fades away, talk about a long intro there. That's a pretty big buildup. I don't think I've ever done one nearly 5 minutes long before. That's pretty much every promo clip I've ever made, all except our closing song. So, welcome into the show, and lots of excitement here. The first day of May, the merry month of May. And what better way to kick it off than here with a live stream? I know I have been absent as of late. The last live stream I did was probably over a month ago. I've tried to do a couple of reviews to keep the channel going. I did, of course, the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire video. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. Kind of a tepid review from me, a tepid reaction. But there really isn't a whole lot. See, when I started the show, it was basically to do like two different things. It was either to review things or to talk about the news. This is why this is called a Torch News Roundup. That would talk about some of the upcoming movies that are exciting. Of course, this was in the latter half of the 20 teens. Still a lot of exciting stuff going on. There really isn't a lot to be excited about. At least I find it's really difficult for me to put together a Torch News Roundup anymore. This year we had, there wasn't a lot of news coming out about stuff. We had Daredevil. No, what's his name? Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm not really that eager to go see. That's not my type of movie, so I'm probably not going to cover that at all. Madam Web, which everybody knew was kind of going to be a dog. Frozen Empire, which they didn't really have a lot of promo stuff about, really. I mean, they had a couple of trailers and we covered them. That was about it. The only thing really to talk about in way of a news roundup is really Superman, formerly known as Superman Legacy, which I guess now the movie is just being called Superman. I suppose the way it's differentiated from the Christopher Reeve film is the Reeve film is called Superman the Movie, and this is just going to be called Superman, which is fine, I guess. I mean, I suppose Superman Legacy, I mean, it actually sounds pretty cool to call that a movie, but I mean, if it doesn't tie into the actual story, maybe that's the reason why they didn't want to use that as the title. So welcome in, if I haven't said it before. And again, apologies for not being on call for live streams that often anymore. But again, I haven't found a lot of interesting subjects. As far as reviews are concerned, I think I've tackled this a number of times, but in case you haven't heard it, reviewing movies and TV shows and stuff really take a lot of my time now. There's a lot of even comics. I've been reading some comics lately. And they're mostly old stuff. There's some new stuff I've got. I got the Batman Adventures, the Paul Dini collections there that are coming out with I guess the new seasons basically on in book form or whatever. I'd like to review those. Problem is like reviewing books takes a lot of time because I have to read the books, which is fine, but then I have to remember everything that I've read. So if it takes me, say, 2 weeks to read a book, then I have to go back and I have to look at the first few stories in the book, or it becomes a little bit more cumbersome than just watching a movie and then coming to the laptop and just typing out some thoughts and reviewing it. It becomes a little bit more cumbersome unless I want to read the whole trade paperback in one sitting and then type up some notes. So that's kind of difficult. And as far as the other things are concerned, like there are other things like I don't know if I'm going to review X-Men 97 for almost the same reasons, because it's fun to see that it's coming out a week at a time. And I could have probably reviewed an episode at a time, but again, I would rather see the whole thing as a whole, the whole series as a whole. And at that point, then I'd have to go back and try to remember what some of the earlier episodes were and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll still do X-Men 97, but I'm not sure. But we've got some things in the works. We got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about Superman tonight. All right, let's see. Hunter Icky, our friend on the show here, has a question. He says, what is your thoughts on people saying that James Gunn is a liar? I don't know what this is in reference to. Hunter, if you're still in the chat, you can clarify that for me, because I'm not sure. I know that there are a lot of times when people say something on Twitter and he sort of debunks it, or he semi debunks it, and people are like, is he jerking us around a little bit? What is the real story? But I don't know if there's an actual case where he's lied about something that's in or not in the movie. I don't know. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Before we get into the Superman stuff, let me hawk the book, of course, and give you guys an update on what's going on. Now, as you know, I am the comic creator of The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. This is my baby, and I've been working on this issue, unfortunately, for a very long time. It's been about a year between some technological blunders and having to get a new laptop, having to get acclimated with the new software and stuff like that. I won't bore you with all the sad, trivial details, but finally, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon number 12, Nursery Crimes, is on the way. It's out of my hands now. I'm officially done with it. So all that work is hopefully going to pay off very soon when you'll be able to pick up a copy. I imagine this is the first day of May, so I kind of reached my deadline of getting it done by May, but of course the book probably won't see print until sometime by the end of May, I suppose, before I'll have some copies in my hot little hands. I'm going to make every effort to, because I've griped about this before, but Indie Planet, of course, is my sort of well, Kablam is my printer, but Indie Planet is adjacent, and they're the ones where you can buy the books from and look at the digital copies and so on and so forth. And they don't list the books very frequently. They list their books like maybe once every 3 months, or let's just put it this way: it's not very on schedule. So my book probably won't be listed for another 6 to 8 months. 6 months if I complain, 8 months if I don't say anything. And I'm tired of dealing with that. So I have moved all my books digitally onto Global Comics. Now, Global Comics, you can pick them up uh, basically for the same price as a paper copy. And you will get them much earlier because I can schedule the releases. And once I get the file back, I'm probably going to schedule it for some time, the beginning of June. I'll, depending on what the situation is, I'll post that on Twitter. And of course, you can find Global Comics and a link in my website. Check my website in the links in the description below. Of course, be sure you subscribe, like, and share the video. Trying something a little different for the thumbnail. They have an AI generator. This is something I want to talk about too. So hopefully I can get around to this because I like doing some comic book, indie comic type shop talk. And I only do that every once in a while because there's not a lot of, I mean, we could really get into like the nitty gritty about indie comics, but I don't really want to be the bad guy by doing that. I know it's a very contentious issue right now, AI versus, you know, the old-fashioned way. But we really do have to have that conversation eventually. But anyway, I used the AI generator this time to make the thumbnail. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments below. Do you think the thumbnail works better as the AI prompt, or does it just not do it for you the way the old images did? Because I don't take a lot of time with the images. I mean, I don't like try to soup them up a lot. So it's basically just a picture that I get off the internet and put some captions on it. So maybe this looks a little bit more spiffy, or maybe when you're on your phone or whatever way you consume these videos, maybe don't look so hot. I don't know. You'll have to let me know. All right, so a couple of minutes here to talk about the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. A down on his luck Private Eye takes on the most colorful collection of villains imaginable in each and every action-packed issue. In this storyline, I'm excited to say we're wrapping up. I always love to wrap up a storyline because I hate having the reader hanging. Like, for instance, when I sold some books last year when I was doing my convention, and some folks didn't want to buy the most recent two issues because they're like, well, you don't have the third part there, so how am I going to see the end of it? Now, I mean, honestly, all you have to do is follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube, follow me anywhere online, bookmark my website. You'll find out when the next book is coming out. So that's kind of a lame excuse, but I understand. you don't want to commit to something without knowing that the other issue is going to be following. Now, I've done enough issues now that I think people know that I'm in it for the long haul, even though this issue took me longer, that they are going to come out as soon as humanly possible. And, so I kind of understand that. So it always excites me when I get the last part of a story arc out. So I can encourage people now, go back and read the last two issues of the series. I've got the third and final issue of the arc all ready to go for you, so you don't miss anything. Coming very soon, at least this most recent issue. I'm going to be talking about this. Of course, I'm going to do a video all about it, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of the story. And also, as is usually the case, when I'm done writing it, I'm very bad on promo for the most recent book because I'm always thinking ahead. I'm working on the next issue already. I'm doing some inking. Probably by June I'll have it ready to color. I've got a couple more pages to ink, but I don't like to get ahead of myself. You got to kind of take your time with the inking. So probably within a month I'll be working on that full time again. I'm not letting too much time pass because I feel like I've wasted a lot of time. I That's one of the things that you always hear people complain about. When is the next book going to come out? Guys resting on their laurels and then taking forever getting the books out and stuff. I don't want to be that guy. I want to have these books keep cranking out. I want to get one done every 6 months. That's the goal. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you miss it. In some rare cases, I've come in well below the mark so that it's a little less than 6 months. But most of the time, it's 6 months to 8 months, and I want to keep that streak going. So hopefully, we can get the next one out really soon for you. The next storyline, the next story arc. Well, another thing that's exciting about this is that this is completing what we're calling the first season. That originally was kind of an arbitrary date, to pencil in. Well, this is the end of the season. I just like kept making stories and but then when I came to a point, I says, let's let's do the Mason Dixon line here. Let's say this is where a season ends. If this were a TV show, and again, Bullets Bourbon is sort of my take on sort of an 80s live action hero show that I would have watched as a kid. And this is like the first season. Now, everything that's happened up to this point from the end of this issue on, everything that's happened in this first season kind of relates to each other in a way. Like the first issue, of course, is the introduction. You're introduced to Carrot Top, his arch enemy. Second issue, we're introduced to Pencil Neck. We get to know the characters and the world a little bit more. Third issue, we're building more of the universe, and Desiree Miller comes in, and we get to see sort of the Charlie Brownisms of Bullets Bourbon, where he's sort of a sad sack. He never gets the girl, and that kind of like sets up what's going on in the fourth storyline where Carrot Top returns. We get to learn about Carrot Top's backstory, that his father is literally the godfather of Stark City. And Veronica is introduced, which is she's Carrot Top's femme fatale. And the last story in this arc is sort of the denouement, I guess is what they call it. It's sort of like it wraps up stuff from this whole season. And we get a glimpse of some of the characters that we were introduced to earlier in the season. And we have the Desiree story basically completely wrapped up. I mean, unless I come up with one of the greatest ideas I've ever had, she's probably done with as a character after this issue. Pencil Neck story is resolved because in the third story, when the night comes, he's basically in a loony bin with his powers gone and everything. And I did know what I wanted to do with him after that, and that's kind of what prompted this issue to come out in the first season. Is I didn't want people to wait because I could have probably put this issue anywhere in the second season, and I felt like it needed to wrap up everything that we had been building toward in the first season. And of course, I didn't want to wait too long to resolve the Desiree storyline because we kind of felt like she was done with in the When the Night Comes story arc. But I felt like I did have more I needed to say with that character, and I had to wrap that up in the first season as well. So again, this is a really exciting moment for me. The whole first series is done. Well, first series if you're in the UK. In America, we call it the first season. But so that's very exciting to me, and I'm just so thankful. I thank Jesus for giving me this opportunity to come this far in a medium that I did not know that I would be able to create in. It's just I'm in the right time where technology is caught up with me. And again, I probably could talk about AI and stuff and all this right now. I know you guys want me to get to the good stuff with the Superman report, but I'm in the right time right now where I can literally draw something, put it on the computer, color it, create the story, put it out there, and people can read it. And I don't need to have a big contract working with Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or whatever else is out there. I can just do this, endlessly. There's no end in sight so long as I, God willing, have the strength and as long as I have the tools still at my disposal that I can still use, I'll be able to do this. And it's just, I thank God every day for this wonderful blessing to be in this age where you can do something like this. And I always like to inspire people. I mean, I was thinking this afternoon while I was going on my daily constitutional, how many kids always come up to me at the conventions and stuff, and they want to know how can they do it and stuff. And they're going to have even more tools at their disposal when they grow up. I'm talking about like 8 to 10 year olds, 10 to 12 year olds. They always ask me, and it's kind of a boring answer because the way you come up with comics is basically you sit there and you dream it up and try to put it down on paper as much as your talent will allow. But they'll have the tools probably to do this even more in the future on their own. Again, there's the potential of making movies and stuff. I never had that. I never even dreamed of that as a possibility. When I started out doing comics, that might be the next way, you know, to go for certain creators. Who am I to say what the technology will be? If AI is good or bad, I don't know, but it's there, and it's gonna be there for the next generation. So anyway, before because again, this was not going to be a very long stream. We just got one segment after this, so that's why I thought we could indulge in a little talk about the comics. But we are going to do a full episode where we'll talk about this storyline, the story arc, and I'm very excited. We showed you at the beginning of the video. If you didn't pass it, if you didn't skip it, if you're watching this on the rewatch, the general is coming, and we built that up. And the reason why we built that up is he's going to be a really exciting character. This next story arc is one of my favorites. Now I know a lot of writers probably will say that, oh, this is the next one I'm on is the one that's my favorite, but I really I really think that I did outdo myself with this next story. This next story is really good, and it's got a really good villain who's going to be really terrifying. If I do, if I did my job right, he should be anyway. But I'm really excited to. Again, I don't know if I'll do that on the next video or maybe I'll do a separate video to start talking about the second season opener and the 13th issue. But that's all coming up pretty soon. So we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to and a lot of stuff to talk about. All right. So with that out of the way, let us continue on here. And let's talk about the casting of the Superman movie. I guess we're just going to call it Superman. This is a image that James Gunn put out on, I guess it was Twitter or was it Instagram? I don't know, but of the cast, or at least Superman and Lois Lane cast. They're reading the comics, and this is, I think, to inspire us to believe. This was on Superman Day, which I guess is the day that the book was published. I don't know. You see this on Twitter all the time. There's always, it's Batman Day. Well, what does that mean? He was published then? I don't know. In universe, he was born. I don't know. He was created. I don't know. They're always changing that. I don't know exactly. Like 3 times a year, I'll see it's Batman Day, it's Superman Day. I don't know. But on Superman Day, allegedly 2024, they published this photo. And again, like I said, it's I think it's meant to inspire confidence in us that they are looking at the source material. It's I don't want to say a slap at Zack Snyder, but I'm sure a lot of us purists, diehards, we're not too thrilled with what Zack Snyder did, honestly. And honestly, the guy keeps running his mouth every time you see him on Twitter or something. Terrible. The guy can't seem to shut up about how he, you know, people don't understand the characters like he does, and I don't know. I just don't dig him. I don't know where he comes from. He's like from another planet. I don't know, because it's like anybody that's read the comics for any kind of amount of time kind of knows the character better than he does, and he's given the keys to a, you know, Rolls Royce or whatever. I'm not a car guy, but whatever, and he's allowed to run with them. I don't know how he got away with it as long as he did. I guess it wasn't that long, 2 movies, but then he got to go back and play with it so that he could get a resolution to his fans. But so anyway, again, I love this cast. We've got a really great cast here, and just a pitch perfect Superman actor, a pitch perfect Lois Lane actress. They just look great. I can't wait to see some stills from the filming. James Gunn, again, this is the like X factor. I don't know how he's going to fit in on this. I like a lot of what he's done, but then there's a lot that I don't like. I thought the first Guardians film was really good. I mean, it wasn't a masterpiece, but it was a good, competent film. And it was a comedy, which was refreshing. But again, that's not the style that's going to fit, because he does this kind of off-kilter comedy type stuff. But I don't know if that's going to fit Superman. And I wasn't crazy about Guardians 2 was okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but it was okay. Guardians 3, I thought was a step up. I thought that was good. But again, it wasn't... I don't know. It wasn't like a masterpiece, but I mean, it still felt like there was some heart to it. I don't know if it comes across on the broadcast, but I had a handful of peanuts before the broadcast, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, because my mouth has been so dry and I've been so thirsty. And it probably is something you shouldn't do if you want to be a competent broadcaster. So there's a tip for you right there from the mouth of Johnny Torch. But okay, so I haven't seen The Suicide Squad. That is on, I think, like Tubi or something. I might check that out. But again, I don't really cotton to his type of humor, and sort of I don't know what the word for it is, but you know, it's a little bit of an overstatement. But he's got sort of a mean spiritedness to his stuff sometimes that's a little beyond my taste. But so I'm looking forward to seeing the way this is going to pan out, with the tone and tenor of this movie's going to be. Well, let's take a look now at the cast. First up, we were introduced to the Perry White actor, who is not white. Perry Brown, I guess. I don't know what you'd say, but you know, what can I say? Anybody knows me knows that I am not a fan of race changed characters. I don't like the race swaps, and there was no need really to do this, because we have. But see, this is the thing: they're always going to have to try to pander to a certain demographic that's going to be like, well, there's not enough black actors. Forget that there's 2 black actors, I think, already in the cast. We don't have enough prominent roles for black actors or something like that. That's, you know, in this day and age, I mean, this is 2024. Can't we move past that now? I mean, I can understand wanting to have a, you know, number of black roles, black characters that black actors can be in. We've got Mr. Terrific, who's probably going to get, I mean, I know he was on Arrow, which was a very poor representation, if we're being honest. He's that actor from First Class, Darwin. He's going to do a great job. You know, that's one black actor right there. They already race changed Otis, which I don't really understand the purpose of that. We'll get into that a little more later. But so again, there was really no need. Like, you don't have roles for black actors in this film. We've already got 2, right? You got a hero and a villain. I mean, what else you want? And it's not like there's not going to be other peripheral characters that are probably going to come in and out. And, you know, there's really no need for this in this day and age. And I don't really know the actor. I guess he looks like he could be. And this is not the first time that we've had a race change Perry White. Lawrence Fishburne, of course, was in Man of Steel. I I don't know. I mean, he was serviceable, I guess. I didn't particularly like his version either, but I mean, I kind of feel like I can't remember too many Perry White actors other than Jackie Cooper and then the guy from The Adventures of Superman, where his name escapes me right now. They were the only two guys that kind of took the ball and made Perry White memorable. Because Perry White can just be played as a boring sort of boss character, oh, go out there and do your job or whatever. You can get that in any kind of film, you know what I mean? Like the stereotypical boss that's angry and says go out and get me a story. I mean, you have to have an actor that's really gonna layer that and make it somewhat memorable beyond just the surface traits. And I feel like Jackie Cooper did that, and the original actor again, well, not the original, he was in the serial, I guess. The original actor, he wasn't very memorable, I don't suppose, but from the TV show, he was very memorable. So I don't know. Large shoes to fill. Again, I feel like this is just a stunt casting, woke casting. This is really not needed, not really necessary. I think probably a lot of other actors that would fit this role physically and embody the character better could have been chosen. This is kind of like what the Batman with Commissioner Gordon. I have a feeling like this is going to be the way now for Perry White. It's always going to be a black actor. And I have the same fear for Commissioner Gordon, that it's always going to be a black actor. I think the only difference in that case, because they want like an older authority figure that's, been around the block, seen the world as it is. And for some reason, that's the kind of character that attracts them to cast a black character, I think. And I think the problem is with Perry White. With Gordon, you still have to account for Barbara Gordon. And if you're gonna do, like what was it called? The Batgirl movie, I guess that's what it was gonna be called, where they completely race changed her. I don't think that would go over too well because there's so many redheads being race changed. But Perry White, I don't think they have anything to stop them now from always casting a black actor. And I always say, and this is, if you listen to my show any amount of time, you'll know this is what I'm going to say next, but you need to have respect for the characters. If you think that white is sort of a default character trait and it could be just, you could just plug in any other race and you're a racist. You're not a racist for saying, I want Perry White to be white because he was like that in the comics since like 1940 or whatever. You're racist if you say, well, what's being white mean to Perry White? Perry White doesn't need to be white because being white is not a character trait, as if being black, Latino, Asian, whatever is a character trait, but being white is not a character trait. That's what's racist. And I always say, if you're going to change a character, the race of a character, you best not change a character's race that has been around for like 80 years. Um, you know, Perry White has been around probably longer than your grandparents at this point. You got to have some respect. Now, if we're talking about, somebody that was created in the 80s or, like, well, for instance, Otis. I mean, I don't really know why you would race change that character, but the disrespect of having a character exist for 80 years and then you say, well, I'm going to do something different with them. To me, it smacks of disrespect. I mean, everybody from your grandparents on down remember Perry White a certain way. He always looked a certain way and he always acted a certain way. If you're going to change any of that, you're doing a disservice to the creators as well as to the fans. And again, we could go on and on about this, but I think I've spoken about as much as I usually do with it. All right, so next up, the next one we got was the Pa Kent. The Pa Kent actor. His name is Pruitt Taylor Vince. Did I mention the other guy's name? Wendell Pierce? I think I mentioned it. I don't know. but I'm looking at my copy now here. Pruitt Taylor Vince as Jonathan Kent. Now, this to me is the second casting that I didn't really like from this film. Um, they did such a great job with when all the casting came out with Jimmy Olsen, of course, Lex Luthor, Superman and Lois. I didn't like Perry White, and I don't like this casting either. Now, the problem is to me he looks more like Otis. Like if you got rid of the beard and he was like so he kind of looks comical to me. I don't know, maybe because I've never seen this actor before, and I think he's like a serious actor. You know, he's not a comedian. So I don't know. He doesn't strike me as being like serious type. There is the kind of resemblance problem too. I mean, I'm sure they could slap a toupee on him and let him have some hair, but you know, the facial hair and everything, he just doesn't look to me. I mean, he's more of a heavy set guy. You know, he's got the beard. I don't really see him as Pa Kent because Pa Kent is supposed to be, I think, even older looking than this actor is. Now, I know this actor's probably like, I don't know, maybe 60 or something, but he doesn't really look like, and I've seen a lot of people trying to explain away like, well, he's a farmer. What do you think a farmer looks like in Kansas? They don't look like they weigh, 89 pounds and, but I don't know. He just doesn't look to me like Pa Kent. And I don't really, I don't know. I don't really visualize him being the character that, with all the other actors looking so spot on in their roles, I can't visualize him really being Pa Kent at all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I hold out the hope that maybe his performance will win me over, and maybe the visual of what he's going to look like eventually when he's in costume and character, he will win me over. But I mean, I don't really see the connection. You could see the picture, the comic book version right there. Just I don't know. Just doesn't seem to do it for me. But we'll see. I guess. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this choice here. All right, and finally, we have Ma Kent, the actress chosen for Martha Kent. Neville Howell is the actress's name, and this is a good choice. I think this looks like Ma Kent from every incarnation you've ever seen. You know what I mean? She kind of looks like the default Ma Kent, making bread rolls or whatever in the oven. With a box of Cheerios on the windowsill. I can buy her as Ma Kent, and I'm thankful at least. Now, see, she actually looks older to me than Pa Kent, but I'm glad they actually gave us an older lady for Ma Kent, because the whole thing is like nowadays it's like we're ageist. I don't know what it is. When you're supposed to have an actress that's like 60 years old, you gotta get a 50-year-old actress. You know what I mean? Now she's probably in her mid 60s, I guess. I don't know this actress, but that looks like about how old Ma Kent is supposed to be. If anything, she should probably be around 70. But we'll say this is early in Superman's career. Maybe she's not quite that old yet. Because again, if you want to get like really mythological about it, the whole thing of Ma and Pa Kent was that they were elderly and that they passed on at the point where Superman reaches manhood and matures. And they were like based on the Elizabeth and Zachariah in the Bible, where they prayed for a child, but they were too old and they weren't going to have a child, and it was a miracle from God that John the Baptist was born. And it's kind of the same way here. They were supposed to be a couple that were past their prime, but they were entrusted with this super baby that they become parents to at a late stage in life. And that's why that when Clark is, 22, 23 years old or whatever, and he's going off to Metropolis or whatever, graduating college or whatever, they're supposed to be very old. They're supposed to be like, well, let's say at least in their mid 70s. I wouldn't say that's very old, but I mean, they can't be 55 years old and Superman is just coming on the scene in Metropolis. So I think this is a good choice. This is a good actress, I think. looks-wise. I think she'll play a good Martha Kent. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'm not sure. I don't really know, what to think about this. 2 out of 3 I was not crazy about. But again, I will hold off judgment on the Jonathan Kent actor because it's sometimes that there's that quality once you get an actor inside the role, with the makeup and the costume and everything, that makes the difference. That really makes the difference. So that's about it. Until I suppose there's some footage or shots, images or some video of the shooting of Superman, we'll probably do another roundup right around then. Until then, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, there's not much to get excited over. There's the Agatha Harkness show. You know what I mean? What's MCU doing? Somebody really pushed my buttons on Twitter the other day when they were talking about Endgame being the 5th anniversary of Endgame coming out or whatever, and I was just, very rarely do I like to fire off an angry missive, but that movie just really destroyed the fabric of the MCU. I'm not saying there was no good movies after that, because I liked Doctor Strange 2. I think what else wasn't there something else like Loki? Did that come out after? I think so. I mean, they've done a couple of things that were okay, but it's, I think Ant-Man, what was it? Ant-Man Quantumanium. It was okay, but there hasn't been any really like stellar movies since that, because they basically killed the franchise with that movie. And that movie wasn't really very good. I mean, you had Fat Thor and Professor Hulk and the death of Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow. That really makes me angry, because now I think Captain America, Brave New World, the scuttlebutt is going around that's getting major reshoots because nobody likes the way it was coming. And again, what would it take for us to get back on track with, at least get Chris Evans back, maybe? And I don't know. My whole theory is that once you kill off a character, you've killed the golden goose. Why should I care about what goes on in the MCU now? I mean, they're on their D-listers. I mean, there's still a few C-listers around. I mean, I guess B-listers maybe, if you want to count. Well, Doctor Strange, I guess, would be a B-lister, Daredevil, something like that. But they really don't have a whole lot of A-listers anymore. I mean, I guess the jury's out of Spider-Man. Are they going to do another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland? I guess that's still in the works. But again, I just mentioned this on Twitter today. The Spider-Man movies are horrible too from the MCU. The only caveat I would add is that when No Way Home was good, but it was because of all the previous Spider villains and the Spider-Men of the previous film. So you can't really count that as a complete success for the MCU Spider-Man. I think we've got Venom 3 coming up this year too, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Kraven the Hunter, I'm not looking forward to, but that's coming out, I think, in December now. So who knows? I don't know. I think it's been what, a month? I imagine no, it's been 2 months. I imagine Madam Web will be coming out on streaming or on DVD or something. I'll probably look into that. But again, there isn't really a whole lot to look into nor get excited over, it seems. And that's a shame, because we've been spoiled, pretty much through the 20 teens with some really good stuff that didn't, unfortunately, last forever. Don't want to end on a sour note here, on a solemn note, so please remember to check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, the all-ages action-adventure extravaganza. And like, share, and subscribe if you like these videos. I will try my best to try to get another video out to you very soon. But until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.